And welcome everybody to another edition of Mac Yak. Hopefully the audio is working, so everybody say something so we can make sure it's working first off the bat.
Say something so it's make sure it's working off the bat.
Testing.
Testing, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
So we're just going to make sure.
Can you hear us, or did Greg screw up again?
No, I hopefully didn't screw up this time.
That's the topic for today's show.
I had no audio issues for 3 straight weeks.
Well, none whatsoever.
Audio's good. Okay.
Can't say anything for the video, but the audio was good.
Yep. All right.
If I suddenly disappear, it's the thunderstorms in the air.
All right. Yeah. Steve has thunderstorms. I'm having sporadically here. Dana's got them there too because we heard a big crash before the show here started on Skype.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a pretty.
It was a good
I
one.
have a generator that I actually use, so all right.
Can I have one too?
But do you use it?
You already have one.
I do.
That's what Mike said.
Mike said you do.
Storms completely missed me somehow. I have no idea.
I don't have a generator. I wish I did.
We were supposed to have major thunderstorms and flooding here, and somehow it just completely missed south central Pennsylvania. It's all over Lancaster.
Well, don't worry, Mike. I'll get more for you.
How's the weather down under there for you two guys?
Well, it's nice where I am. Blue sky. Beautiful. Cold, but nice.
And
Yeah, it's absolutely
what do we
beautiful.
call
It's
cold
about-
these days?
Cold.
Yeah, Sydney cold. Sydney cold. I mean, it's, you know, it's, what is it? It's,
So slightly colder than a desert.
I don't know. It's about 15 degrees Celsius, something like that.
Oh,
Which is in Fahrenheit, roughly.
not cold.
That's in the 70s.
Yeah, it's like, it's Sydney cold. That's what I said.
Well, it's
I'm still
70
wearing a
outside right now. It was 82 earlier today, so
Welcome to the Mac Yak Weather Report.
there we go.
Yeah,
Looks like a lot of people in
Yeah.
the live
people
chat.
are
90
about
minutes
40
of the
Celsius
best
this
weather.
morning.
We
Hey,
got
if you
snowflakes, so-
read the topic here, it's another. We're making it up as we go, so we're actually making this stuff up. We do have a couple of topics, but
we do have topics here.
You want to start with Grudy's message?
yeah. Let me go ahead, guys. I'm gonna play a video for you. Grudy has a message for everybody, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for you guys and
This
let
has
you
not
guys.
been screened by us.
Actually, it has. I actually watched it already. So, but
Like
here
it
you
would
go.
be bad.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying today's Mac Yak. I just wanted to talk to you guys real quickly. I wanted to let you know that I am going to take a hiatus from Mac Yak also. I already talked about taking it from YouTube, but with my life just going the way it is right now, I don't have time to do anything but work, and just try to stay afloat. Plus there's been some emotional things and whatnot, and it's not exciting and not fun. But I thought I'd make this video real quick for you guys, just to tell you why I haven't been on Mac Yak lately. I just haven't had the time, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving Mac Yak, but I will be taking a hiatus from Mac Yak for probably the next month or so. I will be back, I promise, but I wanted to let you guys know, and I might actually still be on an episode or two in the future, until I actually officially come back from the hiatus, which could be a month, maybe 2 months. I do want to be on the WWDC episode, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I hope you guys continue enjoying today's episode, and I'll see you guys very soon, hopefully. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right, guys, and that's Grudy's video. He just wanted us to play that for you guys to give you a message. So, yeah, off-camera voice.
It took us a while, but we finally got rid of him.
I don't know if
He
we
just
got rid of
assumes
him
we're going to
yet
let
or
him
not.
back on the WWDC episode.
Which
Yeah,
is,
right. That's the
goal
funny
of
part.
which is next week, though, right?
Until he sends a text
yeah.
10 minutes before the show and says, "Oh, sorry guys, I'm like 5 hours from home."
Well, should next week, are we gonna, for the WWDC thing, are we gonna do the show on the evening of that, or do we want to wait to the Thursday?
Sunday night?
I think we should wait till Thursday. when is the WWDC? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah, it's
I can't
Sunday.
do it on Tuesday night, unfortunately.
Tuesday.
So
I mean, I could host it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just
no,
curious.
I think we just do it on Thursday where we can get everybody's opinions, and start talking about it as well. So
Yeah, and then plus there's always these little tidbits that don't come out till like 2 or 3 days later.
yeah.
We'll catch all the dirt for you.
Well, since we're on this and we don't have a very structured topic thing tonight, it's one of our first tops here: WWDC predictions / hopes / dreams. I mean, if we're going to do the show that Thursday, let's talk about this a little bit. What are we hoping comes out?
Well, Wozniak will take the stage and announce that he's now the CEO of the company.
My hopes are going to be vastly different from reality.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to be
Steve
realistic.
running
Oh, never
things.
mind.
Yeah, Steve. I don't
Apple would
think
be
that's
gone in a year.
ever going to happen.
I'm just worried about the Mac Pro. I don't care about spec bumps. I mean, I want to see a nice spec bump in the 2019 Mac Pro, obviously, the last Intel hoorah, but I don't care about the ARM stuff. Make it smaller, make it faster, make it cooler. I don't care. Just don't kill the Mac Pro just yet. That's all I want.
But what about the
I
Mac
don't
Pro ARM?
Nah, they can do whatever the hell they want. I'm just looking for a nice spec bump in the Mac Pro I'll be buying 10 years from now.
I don't think they're going to kill the Mac Pro just yet. So,
No.
I think if anything, that's going to be the last. That's going to be the last dying breath for the Intel Mac. So,
Yeah, I agree.
I think they probably will. I think they probably will announce a spec bump on that. Maybe new maybe a new Xeon processor. But yeah, I don't foresee an M series Mac Pro in the very near future.
I don't either, Mike, because for one, and I don't think they're going to do it until the actual ARM architecture surpasses what the Mac Pro can do now.
I hate to say it, but the ARM architecture is already surpassing what the Mac Pro can do in some respects.
Yeah, I was going to say in some respects, but not the
In terms of like raw processing power, I think the ARM processors kind of have it down, but until I think it's going to be mostly until the software companies who are gearing to the Mac Pro are going to really start getting all their stuff into the ARM code base.
Yeah.
More than just using Rosetta. That's probably going to prompt them to finally release a new machine. Plus, they're going to also have to address issues like expandability and give people stuff that they need. Because this
Dongles.
This is the highest of the high-end workstations, so it's going to be
Go ahead,
interesting.
Steve.
I'm kind of interested to see what they have planned for it.
Yeah, I think it's
foresee-
interesting
I
to.
see another trash can in our future.
No!
they're gonna make little circular Mac Minis that you can make a tower of to look like a trash can. That's what they're gonna do. But I think
What
that,
are we expecting about the new operating system?
I think. Well, I just wanted to say the ARM stuff. I think that we're just seeing like the first wave of those processors hit. So the Mini, the Air, the MacBook 13-inch. Everyone's expecting newer MacBook Pros to be shown off. I think that's probably a wise direction that they're going to go in, because that's probably some of the most popular machines they sell are the laptops. I don't know if we're going to see any other products. I'd love for them to be like, oh, and here's the 27-inch M1X iMac. Here you go. But
I don't think it's too much of a stretch that they might release the M1X or M2 or whatever it's going to be called, the faster one at this one. I mean, it could
or
be
at
there.
least tease it. Yeah.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah,
isn't
well-
this
well,
isn't this where they usually announce new Mac OS too?
Well, this is where they're going to announce the new Mac OS, new iOS, new iPad OS, all those.
Well, I can almost unilaterally guarantee you that, with the exception of the Mac Pro, this is probably going to be. This may be the last. This will probably be the last version of Mac OS for any Intel machine, assuming that they are even going to use it on an Intel machine.
Go ahead, Madeline.
I would like to see some improvements to the iOS on the iPad for file handling, for example, because I think I've mentioned before that I use my iPad Pro a lot more than I use the laptop now, and the file system is absolute rubbish. So now that you've got that kind of you've got that compatibility between the M1 products and the new iPad Pro, I wonder if there's going to be some updates to the file system, you know?
I don't think so. I think that, the Mac OS, I don't think we're going to get a big speed bump. I read an article today where Apple does like this tick-tock cycle, where on the tick cycle they actually get a big, huge release with a lot of features and stuff. And in the talk cycle is basically just, little small updates and stuff like that. And right now they're in the talk part of the cycle. So
well, what did I don't use it. What did Big Sur bring that was so revolutionary?
Nothing.
So who's to say that was the talk and this is the tick?
Well, it is I think the biggest thing it brought was it's now 11, not 10 anymore. I mean,
they changed the number.
Well, they do have the ability to run iOS apps on your Macintosh, okay, yes. Which I don't really see as a benefit at all. I mean, the screen is still limited to the size of an iOS device, so you've got this wonderful big, however an inch monitor and this tiny little window in the middle of it running an iOS app. Like, what do you use it for?
Yeah, I guess it's good for compatibility and stuff, but other than that,
Well,
I think it gives an out for developers to be like, oh, we have an app, you just use that.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the good thing is that they can make an app for both the Mac and the iOS and not have to do too many changes. I mean, it's kind of blurring the line between it, but again, I'm hoping that they don't go this route where they're going to block off pretty much the Mac from getting external, as they call in iOS, side loading apps. Because if they do that, they're just going to basically alienate a lot of, old Mac users. They're not going to want to do that.
I think they're going the way of you have to go through the App Store. You have to have your ID certified by Apple. Otherwise, we've all had to open apps that reject to being opened when you double click them. You have to right click open and all that stuff. I don't think that functionality is going to, just my opinion, I don't think that functionality is going to change anytime soon. And I only say that because I hope to dear God that it doesn't, or I'll stop using this damn platform.
Well, I mean, just to let a lot of people know too, if you don't know it already, if you're running OpenCore right now, 11.2.3 is the last version that actually is stable and runs on the old CMP, because when they came out with 11.3 and up, there was what they call a race condition. I don't pretend to understand what it means or whatnot, but it causes the system to actually pretty much, the file system basically corrupts itself, and
Lovely.
you'll lose data if you continually reboot it. Now, it'll stay running just fine as long as it stays up, but the more you reboot it, the more it gets corrupted, and then finally it won't boot at all.
And the OpenCore team, is this an intentional update that they let's just hose all these systems?
It possibly could be from Apple, but the OpenCore team is actually trying to find a workaround, but they have not found anything yet.
Oh, I see. It's for Big Sur and higher.
Yes, Big Sur.
Oh, okay, then I don't care.
That's why I said 11.2.3.
I thought you were referring to the version of OpenCore, not the version of the
No. OpenCore will run any version.
I hope to see something exciting in the new operating systems that are coming out, but for the Mac, I'm already 2 versions behind, and I have no intention of updating anytime soon. So I kind of don't care whatever they put in the new operating system.
Same here.
Yeah.
But for iOS, of course, I am interested to see what they're going to come out with. But yeah, not so much for the Mac.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think there's not a whole lot, unless they're like Steve just said, or Bruce actually just said, this is the last hoorah for the Intel Macs.
Cool.
Or did Mike say it? I think Mike said, yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
All I was going to say was I really want touchscreens for the laptops.
I don't.
And Bruce will be joining Broody in Exile.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest with you, my whole thing is, and I tell my wife this when she touches my screen, and I can't stand it. It just irritates me when I get fingerprints on my computer screen.
Yeah, we've been there before.
Predictions,
I feel
hopes,
exactly
dreams.
the same way. Get
I'm
your
allowed
bloody
to
greasy
dream.
fingers away
No,
from
you're
my
not.
monitor, you bastard.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Madeline.
I mean, it's all moot anyway. Even if they brought them in with a touchscreen, as we've said before. I mean, I don't buy anything new, so it'll be 10 years before I own one anyway.
Well, Eric asked
What I
in
would
the
love
chat.
to see is a third party that makes a USB Touch ID. So I can have Touch ID on my Mac Pro. I would love that.
Eric actually asked, he's asked a very good question here. Any Apple Watch improvement rumors? Well, I don't think
50-inch display.
Well, here's the thing, though. Is the version or the third generation watch, are they going to discontinue it? Because have you seen how they have to load the newest update?
All right, it's time for me to rant about this because that stupid update apparently, well, not apparently, but so basically what you have to do to update a Series 3 watch, you basically have to erase it and pair it and restore it as a brand new watch.
Yeah.
Which, first off, is stupid. The second thing about that is it's a horrible user experience because the first time it was like telling me, oh yeah, you're out of space, and I'm thinking, I don't put music on this. I don't have any photos on this. I use this as a watch. Like, there's like a handful of apps. There's no way that's taking up 8 gigs of space. And yeah, it turns out that the way you do the updates on this is no longer viable for the limited amount of storage space that Apple ingeniously decided to cram onto this little watch.
Well,
and
the biggest...
so, you got to erase the whole thing, and it's not an easy process. It's not a straightforward process because you are prompted on your watch that you have to remove stuff, okay? Then you go to the watch app on your iOS device. And what are your options? Your options are, if you tap on storage, it goes, you can't do anything because the watch is in the middle of updating. So you have to, force erase your watch because the iOS app has no idea that the watch is full. Well, it has an idea that the watch is full, but it won't let you, manage stuff. It's, in a failed update mode. Mm-hmm. And I was, pulling what remains of my hair out trying to figure this out, last year when all of a sudden this thing didn't want to update anymore. And since then, I've just screwed the updates. I'm not doing it anything more because it works. I don't care. And it's a big pain to actually get it to unpair. It's not a quick process. It takes a half hour for it to do it.
Well, here's the biggest problem, though, is Apple is still actively selling this watch. That's the biggest problem.
Well, I'm very curious if the problem is if you use the watch and it takes up, let's say you're using up a half a gig of space or whatever, and then it can't do the update, or fresh out of the box is going to have the same problem. The reports that I read did not detail the specifics of the reasons of the space limitations and all that stuff. I'd be surprised if it didn't have any, if it was fresh out of the box and you had to do the same thing, because that's just silly.
So
Sean wants you to be careful and not blow a reefer cap.
And Frederick says that the same happened to his Series 3 2 updates ago, but it has been fine since. So maybe it's a one-time thing.
Nah, it's still doing it to me.
The interesting thing is that both my wife and I have Series 3 watches, and I had updated mine recently, and then my wife went to go update hers, and she went through this whole process that Steve was describing, where you're getting told one thing on the watch, you're getting told another thing on the phone, and it was an absolute mess. It was just terrible. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know why this is happening. Why on earth is this happening to you when it didn't happen to me? And the answer is the fact that I have the sort of the cell-enabled one, which apparently has more storage on it than the one that they sell now. So the one they sell now has 8 gigs. The one if you bought the one which has the whatever they call it, the cell, GPS capability, that one apparently has twice the storage, so you don't have to go through it. So after reading this, it's like, okay, light bulb moment. That's why it's been so hard on her one and easy on my one. But yeah, the fact that this is still a watch you can buy, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, and that's why I think that this is the death knell for that particular watch. They're going to have to stop selling it pretty soon, or at least
I wouldn't put it past Apple to continue selling something that is
inherently broken. That's because they still have
experience.
They still have inventory of it. So
Is that a thing? A death nail?
Yeah,
Nail.
the death knell. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I thought it was the nail in the coffin.
That's
No,
another
that's
one.
another one.
Another one too.
Nell, not
Learn
nail.
something new.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Death
nail.
nail.
Death nil.
And then
Yeah.
nail in the coffin.
This has been Grammar with Mac Yak.
Well, the way I said it, spelled Knell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I can't spell.
correct.
So yeah, sorry, that was my rant about the watch.
But yeah, everybody said that
You
you were
done
going to blow a
already?
reefa.
I could rant more, but
Yeah, rent more. We got time.
So anything else we think is going to come out of WWDC?
oh, we're on that again.
No, we're still on
air.
that. I mean,
Stupid
We never left.
stupid stuff. You're going to release the Image Writer Pro. I'll be the only person in the world to buy it.
yeah.
I'm still waiting on my iHammer Pro.
Is yours delayed again?
All right, so let's go back up here to our news real quick. And is this the... Okay, we already talked about Steve's thing.
Yeah, I'll talk about
Okay.
the second one then.
Yeah, so we don't have to talk about that one now.
Yeah. There's a if anybody's seen on Mac Rumors the past few days, because of all this Epic and App Store stuff that's been going on. Thank you, Jay. There's been a lot of notes and stuff that have been coming out from this court case. And a lot of them are emails that Steve Jobs or whoever had within Apple, and there are notes and things like that. And I just found that these were interesting. The one that is linked to talks about a 15-inch MacBook Air, a iPod Super Nano, and a Mac tablet and these things. And then there was another email on that same site, I don't have the link for it, that talked about a message that happened between, I forget the guy's name, but between him and Steve Jobs. He used to be at a lot of the keynotes. And essentially, there was the discussion of apps on the iPhone. And it's really an interesting read because just by looking at the message that was in there, it's basically like somebody sending a message to Steve Jobs like, oh, we should have the App Store because of this. And at the end is like, do you agree? And Steve just replies, oh, yeah, if you could have it like by Macworld, January 2008 or whatever. And the email was sent like October 2007. So it's like, all right, that decision was made like 3 months before the launch of the SDK for the iPhone and all this stuff. And it's like, way to rush. That sounds awesome. Like, oh God, I would not want to be on that team. But it's just a very interesting insight because, we hear these product announcements and we all think everything is all carefully planned and this and that. And you can see that there was a real, struggle inside Apple of which direction to go for iPhone application development. Because, of course, at the beginning it was just all web apps and everyone was like, yes, that's the way to go. Well, everyone being Apple. And everyone who, was a developer was like, no. So very interesting to see how that panned out.
Yeah, they rush everything, and even the stuff they don't rush. We are the QA testers. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and find that link to that article, and I'll paste it in the chat while you guys go on to a different topic.
Well, quick question there, Bruce, since you weren't here last week. You got any updates on that court case?
No. So basically at this stage, it's pretty much just that judge deliberating and will come back and make a decision. She had pretty much said that she has got just like mountains and mountains of paperwork to go through to go in and consider. And as I said in the notes last week, is that she thinks it could be weeks or even months. I think we'll, I think we'll probably hear a lot of people make predictions and whatnot, but at this stage, there's not really much more to report.
I like Jay's thing, court case.
She's
epically
a slow
mad.
reader.
Apple doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing will be is if ultimately Apple sort of forced into sort of changing their practices, if what they're doing is seen to be, sort of non-competitive. I mean, I watched last week's show and I heard you guys sort of chatting about it.
No, you didn't.
And of course, I did. I actually did for once.
Lies.
There was no live streaming. He had to rewind.
Ask me something. I mean, I didn't watch it live because I was driving, but I watched it later on. I caught up on it. What was I saying? God, I've totally lost my thread now.
Yay!
I blame you guys.
We blame you.
Have another wine, Bruce.
Yeah, it's a bit early. Maybe I should. Maybe that'd help.
Bruce had enough of those last week.
Crap. All right, someone else talk. I just got to remember where I was up to.
This is how we get Bruce off topic here.
You know, he's not all there.
No, not today. Certainly not. Not by a long shot.
Come on, Dad, wake up.
I don't know. I was talking about this epic thing. Oh yeah, that idea that when sort of because I heard you guys sort of touching on this before, that if Apple, if the judge is saying Apple is ultimately allowed to have their 30% share of the sale of an app, but when the game manufacturers are the ones that are keeping people there and putting things in the game to buy with the in-app purchases, they're sort of saying, well, why should Apple get a 30% share of that? Because that's not, the customer's already there. Apple brought the customer. Apple have got their 30% share for bringing the customer. Now the game manufacturer is keeping the customer. They're entitled to more of that. But of course, as we talked about, is that there is a model that these game players use. They give you a free game and then you have in-app purchases. So they lock you in, they get you into, an addictive game for free. It's absolutely horrendous what they do, in particular to sort of young people that don't even realise.
They make it so you can't get past a certain stage unless you buy something.
And the young people that are playing these games don't even realise that they're being locked into an addiction, but they are. And so what then does Apple do? If Apple end up getting told that they can't get a share of in-app purchases, does that mean they outlaw free games or free apps? Do they make it so that if you're going to have in-app purchases, the app must cost money? So if it's free and there are no in-app purchases, no problem. But if it's got in-app purchases, there has to be an upfront price. I mean, are Apple actually going to start doing something like that? I mean, it could open a huge can of worms.
Yeah, and I think that would absolutely kill a lot of developers who rely on the ad revenue of, I'm going to have this free app so everybody could download it, and if you want these features or you want no ads or whatever, then I get a cut of it. Which has been a model ever since, probably since the App Store started. You had these free apps, and whenever they had their ad platform, settled down where people figured out they could do that, it's been a huge boom for those developers. So it'd be very interesting to see what that case decides.
And at the end of the day, I mean, Apple is the one that deployed the in-app purchases as part of its, part of its sort of system. So, I mean, if they weren't able to take a cut of that, maybe they just get rid of in-app purchases altogether.
Yeah, and again, it's them, providing this app store on their device. They're quite likely able to do whatever the heck they want until a judge tells them not to. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, we're just guessing at this stage, but I mean, I'm just, sort of, as I say, I mean, it could all get very complicated.
Well, I mean, I do like their what do you call it? Their case with Uber and these other ones that don't get charged a 30%, and that's a free app. Okay? Yeah, you're not paying for that app, and yet Apple doesn't get anything from those.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Apple's reasoning behind that is because they are not delivering the service on the actual device. It's a service being delivered outside of the device. It's a person turning up in a car that or whatever that is not actually a service being delivered on the device. Now, it's a reasonable argument to make, I guess.
But you're using the device to pretty hard to order that particular service.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, right. I use my device to order a pizza. Doesn't mean Apple's getting a cut of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. They get a slice.
Oh,
love it. Love it. We are on track for a great show.
Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah. Jay's on fire.
Jay, you're on fire. Turn around.
All right, so let's go ahead with our next quasi topic here. Apple just released a version of the Apple TV app for Android.
Yes.
All right, who all's going to go out and get that app?
Yay.
Who of us has an Android or will admit to
Android
owning?
TV. Let's be clear about that. It's for Android TV. So,
is
my dumb Sony television that thinks it's so smart and then does an update and breaks one of the HDMI ports, it's for one of those things.
Oh, okay. Now I understand because I do have the Apple TV app on my TV already.
Yeah, but if you read the system requirements, the only requirement is that it runs Android 8.
Yes, I'm sure
the
the way
says it has to be a television.
I'm sure the way people can do what they do with Android, they'll shoehorn this onto whatever they want. But I think the primary focus is it to be on a television.
And this is about watching the shows that they're making with the Apple TV Plus, I assume.
Yep.
Has anyone watched any? Are they any good?
Actually,
I've seen a few of the movies and such.
The first season of For All Mankind was actually pretty decent.
I didn't watch that yet.
Yeah, that lost me after the second episode. So.
Well,
really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
the
it's
second
an awesome
season they
show.
started getting too politically correct, and
I like that one with Tom Hanks and the submarine or whatever that was.
Greyhound.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
I
that
still
was
haven't
great.
watched that. I watched I think I watched the first episode of C. You know, the one with what's his name, Aquaman in it.
Yeah.
And I felt stupid.
When I saw the coming attraction for that, Bruce, I'm like, who the hell's gonna watch this? No one's gonna see it.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it gets better, but geez, that first episode. Just so
No,
silly.
that
Anyhow.
that one lost me at the first episode as well. But there was another series on there that I can't actually remember the name of that was really great. I think about 50% of their content is fantastic and 50% is, hit or miss.
Well, either way, if you like that sort of stuff, I guess you could enjoy it on your Android device.
Your
too.
Android TV.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but we know that Bruce has been watching Cobra Kai, so
I'm enjoying that. I am enjoying it.
I knew
it's-
you would.
It's turning into a bit of a soap opera, but it's still fun, and it's very, very predictable. But good
But
fun.
it
well,
takes you
so
back.
was Karate Kid when you watched it first. It was predictable.
Isn't it funny that
Ralph
Macchio's still
Macchio was
coming
going to kick the bad guy's butt.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Here's
You
the
don't know that.
No, this is the interesting thing. This is what I actually enjoy about it so much is that they have, it's almost like a redemption story for the baddie from the Karate.
That's why I
movie.
like it.
In actual fact, because this is the thing, because Ralph Macchio is not a particularly good actor, but the other guy is actually really good, and I've actually found that his path to redemption is actually really good fun to watch, and I think he's actually doing quite well. So
Which actor is that?
I can't remember his name.
I don't know names, so the one you
Yeah, it's
think
The
that's
one that
quite
plays
good.
Johnny.
That guy?
The one that plays
Blonde hair
Johnny.
and the sensei from Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah, I think he's good. The guy, the original Karate Kid, can't act for shit.
No, he can't.
He can't
No,
do
he's
it to save his
terrible.
life.
And he hasn't got better all these years later.
Nope.
Crossroads. Now there's a good
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio movie.
All right, so I guess we were
Yes, it is.
digressing here, huh?
Yeah, so Ralph Macchio, if you're watching, we think you're rubbish, mate.
But having said that, we are enjoying Cobra Kai, so thank you for being part
Yes, we couldn't have the show without you.
Mac Yak goes TV.
There
So
we go.
why are we apologizing to this dude? And we talk smack about Tim Cook all the time. We never apologize.
Well,
to
that's
him.
because we have
Why
nothing
is
to
that?
apologize to him
That's
for
because
yet.
there was zero chance in hell he would actually listen to us yakking
of
on
it. Yeah.
anything.
And of course, there is the other thing that Ralph Macchio can't help that he's a crappy actor, but Tim Cook could do a lot of what we want. He could.
Valid point.
William Zabaka,
Zabka. Yeah, that's him.
Starbuck Tech.
Mac Yak
Zabka?
pronounce his
This ain't
name.
Star Trek, dude.
Well, I don't know. You saw that big video presentation they did with Tim Cook before the last was it the last developer conference, where it was all shot on the campus and they were like going through buildings with the camera and all this, and he's talking to some girl behind a counter and he's having to read dialogue or recite dialogue. Ralph Macchio is a freaking Shakespeare compared to that.
I would have to agree with you on that, Dana. I think I would agree with you. All right. So, anything else on the Apple TV?
We've covered the weather. We've covered the TV guide.
Yeah.
I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's time for news.
Next quasi. We already got through the news. You're already late.
No, I mean regular news.
Jimmy fell down.
Somebody got shot. The end.
Yeah. All right. What are some of the considerations when preparing computers for long-term storage? And this is probably going to be thrown to the experts here, Bruce and Steve, since they fix most of these computers that have those problems.
Not Steve.
Well.
Steve just piles them up in his basement.
I'm cataloging them.
I saw that. That's impressive.
Yes, it's going to take a year, but it'll work.
Before these guys start talking about batteries and all that stuff, I just want to give one tip. Wherever you end up putting your Mac, whether it's in the basement, some other part of the house, a closet, the garage, you're probably going to wrap it up to keep the dust out.
Look at that
put some of those silica packets in there, because if you wrap it up, you're going to trap moisture. You want to have that absorbed. So put silica packets with everything.
That's a good idea.
I should have been
never even thought about that.
Dead DRAM batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jay, for stealing my thunder with that one. That's what I was going to say.
Well, if you say it now, you're ahead of me in time, so you'd technically still be first.
Yeah, you're saying it tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
The interesting thing is that there are the considerations, the general considerations we talk about, and they can be, whether it be sort of moisture or batteries or dust, or electrolytic capacitors, that sort of thing. Some of them we can do things about, others we can't. But it's a really interesting point, that whole thing about putting in the silica packets, because obviously what's the intention there? And that is to try and keep things as dry as possible. But what's really interesting is that I have heard from someone that in actual fact, dry environments are really bad for the spindler plastics, make them even more brittle than they were before. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you have a lot of moisture in your environment, that's going to likely see your corrosion and your rust. It's likely to see delamination on liquid crystal screens, but it's likely to save your plastics. So, what you're going to have to do is pull them
take all
apart.
Your logic boards out.
put the plastics in a nice steamy room and then put the rest of it into a dry environment.
So far, this discussion has just awakened my foolishness of thinking that these computers are going to be able to last for another 10 years or so without making me go bankrupt of buying 3 different temperature-controlled arenas.
Yeah, that's right. We keep the plastics in a humidor, and we keep everything else in a
I was going to say you can have a humidor for your computers.
Okay, take this ticket, go 3 floors up, ask the receptionist for that performer, check it out.
Yes, we store those in our rainforest room.
I'll just start with the obvious things. Obviously, when storing, number one is to remove the batteries. Of course, we know that batteries, explode and leak out their alkaline, and there's nothing you can really. You can't do magic things to batteries to stop them from leaking. Things like those lithium batteries, the half AA's. Yes, they have a very good lifespan, and yes, you're probably going to get 20 plus years out of them before they leak, but they will eventually leak. So that's something to.
Even the Power PC ones are leaking.
Yep. And then you've got dust. If you're going to put them away for a while, give them a good dust blowout beforehand, because dust is really good at trapping moisture. And so, if you've got something stored away and that dust is holding the moisture, it's going to cause corrosion underneath it. So make sure it's nice and clean before storing it. That's something that people may not necessarily automatically think about. So they're probably the main ones, and then the other ones are things like when electrolytic capacitors. Well, there's not a whole lot you can do because they are going to dry out no matter what environment you have them in, and so that's time is a killer with them. There's not that much you can do. And of course, the other thing before I pass it over to Steve is to keep in mind that if you do have any existing rust or corrosion, if you don't treat it, it will get worse. So if your chassis is starting to rust or
well,
no, I'm damning because
okay.
I'm realizing I have to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, I sometimes get people send me, Macs to work on, and I might get them up and running, and while I've got them open, I can see, like there's rust on the chassis or something like that. It's like, okay, well, it's working, but just so that you know, I mean, unless you get that rust cleaned off, and bit of primer paint on it or some anti-rust paint or something like that, that is just going to get worse. So
I think we need to let Steve go now.
And do you tell them that you store it in a half-flooded shed for a few months while you work on it?
Everyone will be pleased to know that I store the repairs up here. I only take them down there to work on, unless it's my own.
I will be switching to my mobile, but before I do that,
mobile.
That's one week.
Exactly.
You sound like Bruce.
One thing that I unfortunately discovered was a lot of the Power Macs that I have, the 7600, 7500, those series. I took a PCI card out of them or whatever, and the mice love squeezing in between that card slot in my garage and just making a beautiful little nest and getting all cozy and defecating and making it a horrible mess inside. So, tip for anybody, if you're storing something in a garage, if you can't put a box in it or over it or bag it over it, which you should, make sure all the little nooks and crannies are sealed. I mean, they probably can't really get into the floppy drive unless they really wanted to. But I thought they couldn't get into the PCI card slot. Sure enough, they made a great home in there. So I have like 6 Power Macs I just got to ultrasonically clean for like an hour to get all that crud out of there. But, ugh.
Decided not to keep the poo.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to keep any of the poo like I keep the PRAM batteries. No, thank you.
I just thought of 2 more things. I'll just do them very quickly. Sorry. I mentioned before screen delamination. And for those that aren't aware of it or haven't seen it, I mean, it literally looks like someone has scratched down like an angle on the screen. And it's for people who aren't aware of the way LCDs work, you've got the liquid crystals behind, and then you have a polarizer on the front. And that polarizer, if you take the polarizer away, you can't see the LCD. What a polarizer does is it focuses light through, like little tunnels type thing. What happens is they're adhered onto the screen using a particular type of adhesive, and that adhesive can oxidize with time, and then it creates this unbelievable look on the screen. As I say, it looks like it's actually suffered some sort of physical damage, but it is basically those chemicals reacting, and in terms of fixing it, the only way you can properly fix it is to take that polarizer off and to stick a new one on, and that is not an easy task. It's a sort of task where you really have to question whether it's even worth doing, and of course very, very difficult to get right, and very difficult to do without actually wrecking the liquid crystal screen behind it as well. So delamination is a real issue, and it's becoming a bigger issue because, even, believe it or not, for those out there, I'm sorry to tell you this, don't freak out, but it's even starting to happen to some titaniums out there. So it's not just reserved to like your old power books and stuff like that. But what I have heard, and although this may or may not be correct, because I have no computers with delamination, so I've got nothing to really say about it. But apparently I think it's the high humidity which can affect them, can accelerate it. So if you're storing them in a damp area, you're likely to see that delamination happen faster. But another thing that you can apparently do is if you store the laptop open, believe it or not. I know that's a real pain, because the great thing about laptops is being able to shut them and stick them on a shelf. But if you store them open, you're less likely to get that chemical reaction going on inside there, apparently. Now, again, this is something someone has told me, and I don't know if it's factual. But apparently, if you got one and you're trying to avoid the delamination, store them open. But That's and then the last thing I will mention before I hand over to Madeline is keyboards. Don't store them with the cable wrapped around the keyboard. A lot of people do it. They just get the keyboard and they wrap the cable around it and then they tuck them away. Though the chemicals in the cables react with the chemicals in the plastics, and you can actually end up with the cables kind of melting grooves into the keyboard plastic. So for anyone who's got them tucked away in a cupboard, unwrap them and roll up the
just
the
clip it
cables
off.
separately.
Clip it off.
Just clip the cable off and solder it back on 10 years from now.
Now it's a wireless keyboard.
Whoa. Check your
That's
game,
very loud,
Steve.
He's on the phone for crying out loud.
I can't do anything about it.
So
Sorry.
the reason that I brought this topic up originally was I saw somebody ask a question in one of the groups. Does pulling these machines out and running them every now and then help in the storage process? What's your thoughts about that?
I personally don't think it's likely to make any difference whatsoever.
Right.
But I don't think it's like, firing up a car engine every once in a while that you've got in storage. As I say, whether a computer is running or not running, the electrolytic capacitors can still dry out. So, I guess
the question there for me was whether running them, would prevent them from drying out in some weird way. Like, I don't know, just
it's possible. I can't say for certain with that. I really can't. I mean, you mean like sort of the idea of potentially warming them up or something might stop them?
Yeah.
I can't say for certain on that, I'm afraid. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, because the other reason that it came up for me is I see these posts in the groups all the time, and these wankers come on and they say, oh, I've got this Apple II GS, and when I stored it 15 years ago, it worked perfectly. And it's like, dude, I'm sure it did. And are you telling me that you didn't pull it out of the cupboard, plug it in, work out that it's not working anymore? So then you decided to say, oh, well, it was working when I put it away. That'll make a difference.
I mean, it was interesting because I did a post in one of the forums a long time ago, and it was something along the lines, I pulled something out of the cupboard, and I'd fired it up, and I said, hey, this thing still works, how good's that? And someone replied to my post saying, what, you didn't think it was going to work? After, sort of after being in storage? And I just replied, you're pretty new to this group, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the risk. If I pull out one of those Power Macs in the garage, I guarantee you a bunch of them won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay,
I mean, I had one just the other day. I've got a 512K, 512KE here, and I just whipped it out the other day. Like, I mean, it was and admittedly, it's I haven't given it a full resto or anything like that. It's one that needs some attention, but yeah, I mean, it worked. Now the screen's gone black.
I have two more things that came to mind. Most, if not all of them, specific to laptops, especially the older laptops, although it happens with modern MacBooks and MacBook Pros as well. Although, due to their age, they could not have been in storage long enough for this to affect them. But just keep it in mind, if you do have something in storage, rubber feet, they turn to mush after a while. I don't know what affects it. If it's not heat, it's not humidity, maybe it's the lack thereof.
I think it's the deterioration of the rubber over time.
Compounds breaking down.
Well, you got to remember,
they always turn to mush, and the feet. Okay, it sucks. Like, I put my Pismo on my desk, and there's black goop all over it. It's very annoying. But that same rubber is often used between the display and the top case, and that can really cause a mess. So you might want to put a piece of paper in between it, or a piece of plastic, something to kind of contain that melting, is all I can call it.
Yeah, I've had to just scrape it off of a bunch of PowerBook Duos I got because they were just sticking to everything, and it wasn't worth saving. It's just, smoke colored, rubber. So it's like, well, It's not like, oh my gosh, you're ruining the value of it. It's like, no, it's gonna like eat into itself. Like,
well, you got to remember
Yeah.
that rubber is a petroleum-based product, so it's trying to basically, work its way back to that, state that it was in before.
Become a
And the other
dinosaur
thing
again.
is laptop batteries. If you plan to
firm.
store a laptop for more than a year, calibrate the battery, then drain it to around 50%, and then store it. Chances are you can still revive that battery 1 or 2 years later. If you are going to store it longer than that, and the battery is already shot, take it out, sell it, throw it away. Because guaranteed it's going to either be dead or it's going to cause a lot of damage.
Yeah, because obviously those batteries, they can expand, and they can then crack your trackpad, or sort of bend the aluminium on the chassis and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I've seen that plenty of times. Actually, in fact, I mean, I remember getting given a laptop. It might have even been from Madeline, I think, where she just basically handed a laptop to me saying that this one doesn't work, and I was able to just open it up, look at it, and go, it's the battery. Because I could just see it was just pushing up in the middle there, pushing the trackpad up. Of course, that meant that the trackpad didn't work, and it just needed a new battery.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
So one thing I thought of is hard drives. So obviously you want to make sure that the data is off of those machines before you put them in storage, because even if it booted up and it spun up last time you tried it, no guarantee 10 years later it's going to do the same thing. Because especially on the older hard drives, the way they are designed, the head has rubber stoppers around it, or the mechanism around the head does, and that could cause things to stick. And I was actually able to successfully revive 2 hard drives recently by opening them up and wiggling them around, low density, like 80 meg, 100 meg drives. But make sure you have a backup of that stuff, because the hard drives, will likely be going bad, and if there's any important data on them, the time to recover that or move it off somewhere else is before you put it into storage, because you might forget if you have something on there, and then you go to sell it or whatever, and you're not going to get that back.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I had a Bigfoot, an 80 megabyte Bigfoot, 5 1/4 inch hard drive, and when I put that into storage, it still worked. When I pulled it out of storage just recently, can't format it, can't do anything with it. Gone.
Mike has one of those. The Bigfoot.
What's that?
They're cool.
Sorry.
The Bigfoot hard drive.
Yeah. I want to bring that home and actually see if it actually works.
I've got a
My
prediction
money's on
for you.
no.
It's not a SCSI drive; it's an IDE drive out of I think at Compaq. Compaq was a real big user of Bigfoot drives back in the 90s because of their cost. So
Either way, that thing's a weapon.
I used to use that drive. It was actually a pretty good drive when it ran. So I'm curious to see if it still runs.
Jay, go ahead.
I have one more thing to add, and that's about location. We all know people that return to their place of storage years later, and the roof caved in, and there was all kinds of leaks, and something bad happened. If you're going to store this in a place that you have access to, keep it off the floor. You never know when something's going to flood. Keep it away from air conditioning vents, so there's no condensation. Even if you wrap it up, there's going to be condensation in there. Just keep it high and dry.
Steve.
I just thought of another one. It's not really for storage, but you want to be aware of what you have when you're putting it away. So either make an inventory list or a spreadsheet or something like that. It's much easier to remember the configuration of the machine or the serial number or the condition it was in when you're putting it away, rather than you're taking it out 10 years later and be like, yeah, I think this thing worked, maybe.
Are you speaking from experience, Steve?
I'm speaking from experience. So not only do you want to put the label like Greg is showing there on the device, either with a barcode or a number or something like that, but keep a spreadsheet, or I've been using this app. I don't know how well it's going to turn out. It's called Airtable. It's like a little database type thing. So far it's free. We'll see what happens. But it's just one of these things where you want to be able to understand what you have. It helps you if you're trying to acquire new things also, but also to give yourself a little bit of a memory boost when you're trying to figure out if these things ever worked when you put them away.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I definitely have
also
to agree with
mention-
Steve on this, because I have a whole lot of MacBooks and stuff, and as I test them and stuff, I I see exactly what model it is and everything, and I put that on the label. I agree with labeling everything, especially if you own a lot of things, because I'm very forgetful, and they all look exactly the same. And you want to go quickly see what something's got in it. You're like, oh, this has 4 gigabytes of RAM, or it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, or it has this hard drive in it, or whatnot. That's a good quick way of seeing what you actually have, especially if you have a lot of them. And I think Steve has probably got us all beat in the collection department.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I also want to just point out one small thing here, relevant to what GT was just talking about. Some labels from label makers or some other sort of types of labels, they might be easy to remove, but once you store them for a while and the adhesives on them get all crusty, all of a sudden those labels are stuck there. So just be cautious of labels as well. It is great to label things, and I agree with that 100%, but the label maker I use, which is a little Epson one, it prints the little sort of shiny labels out, and you put them on things, and the adhesive, they come off nice and easily, but if they've been on there for like more than a year, when you go to peel them off, they leave crap behind. So just be careful with your labels as well.
Well, that's what Glue Gun's for.
I find that sometimes the best place for a label is where it's not going to come into contact with anything. So I'll open the machine and I'll put it like on the metal under the logic board, or on the metal to the side where the PCI cards go. Someplace where I'm not going to see it. Like, I don't care.
Or on the bottom.
Obviously, well, on the bottom, but if it's on a shelf, it might scrape against. So sometimes I'll print out 2 labels and I'll put one inside, one outside, or whatever. Either way, it's going to get lost and I'm not going to be able to find it.
One thing you do not ever want to do is do not use a magic marker on it.
No.
Yeah.
You will never get that off.
I only reserve that for dead hard drives.
Yeah. So.
Another stupid thing to do, and I'm speaking from experience, is you get everything organized, you put everything away, you know exactly where everything is, so you label the location where it's at. So you put it on the shelf, and then you clean your office, and of course it all goes to shit. So don't label the location where you store it, label the product. It's better.
All right. Any other suggestions or good ideas about long-term storage? I think we hit everything.
I got nothing.
Yeah, we managed to keep that one going for a long time.
All right. So the next topic we have on here is when collecting old Macs, some things just seem to multiply in the cupboard, but others seem to go missing. What are some of the items you never seem to have enough of? And
hold on, let me get a list.
I was going to say, for Steve, it's Pram batteries and DB15 adapters and SCSI terminators.
IDE hard drives.
Everything
Steve's
that
got
you
plenty
need
of
at that
batteries.
moment.
Who needs IDE hard drives? I just found about 50 of them.
Yeah, but we don't know if
I
they
do.
worked, Mike. That's why I left them.
What size? What size are they?
I got
Miscellaneous.
everything from 3.2 up to 320 gigs.
All right,
Well,
but
I
let's
mean,
be
6
clear.
gigabyte drives.
These were in the same room as the exploded batteries, so your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I need to bring. I need to bring all those drives home and test them out.
Go ahead, Madeline.
Mine is dongles for various monitor interfaces. You know, like you might have USB-C to HDMI, or you might have USB-C to DVI, or USB-C to Thunderbolt, or something like that. And I know I have one somewhere, and it's either out in the shed or in the office here somewhere or out at the farm. So I end up buying another one, and then I'll have a flood of them. You know, I'll be looking for something and I'll go, oh yeah, so now I've got 13 USB-C to HDMI adapters. That's great.
It's amazing how they multiply when you don't need them, but they're impossible to find when you do need them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's my problem right now. Me working at Best Buy, I get the super stupid discount on Insignia stuff. So, and the cables that they sell are ridiculously low price. So I stock up on like a ton of them at a time. So, like for instance, the the old 30-pin, connector for like iPods and old iPads and old iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a bunch of those now because I know pretty soon they're going to stop making those. And
They still sell those?
yes, Best Buy still sells those.
Oh, dude, I got to get out there and get some. I haven't
Dude,
been
let me
able
know
to
how many
find-
you
I
need.
haven't
I'll
been
go
able to
get
find
them for you.
I haven't been able to find anyone locally that still has them. I can't. That's one of those things that I can never seem to find is 30-pin cables because I only have maybe 5, maybe 6 iDevices that are Lightning. The other 580 are all 30-pin.
Let me know, man. I'll grab you a bunch. They'll be brand new.
But
Another one I never have enough of is RAM. I never have the right RAM for the right machine when I need it.
Yeah,
That's
come
about
on.
my
What about all the little
situation.
trays?
I know. And I'll go through all of it, can't find it. Then once I'm done with it, I go look for RAM for another machine I'm working on, and I find the RAM that I needed for the previous machine.
I always just have to steal it from other machines.
Yeah,
Well-
that's usually my go-to.
I have tons of RAM right now because I get recycled stuff, and I usually, if a machine doesn't work, I will scavenge it for parts, and RAM usually doesn't go bad in those, so that's
Jay.
yeah, that's one of the first things that gets yanked out of a machine.
Just send me the whole thing, Mike.
Yeah.
I always seem to have a shortage of the high density RAM. The one with like 8 or 9 chips on it for the really old Macs. If you're getting like 1 meg sims these days, that you're likely to get the low density RAM, which only has 2 or 3 chips on it. And but some of the really old Macs don't like using those. I'm talking about old 30-pin sims here, of course. So there's always a shortage of those for me, just because I have so many bloody old Macs.
My shortage is always PC 100 and PC 133. I have so many machines that use it. I mean, I got the Cube, I got the Quicksilver, I got the Sawtooth. I have an iMac, a G3 iMac, and they all use the same RAM, and I can never seem to find enough for any of them. So when I want to go use one, I got to take memory out of something else.
I think we lost Steve completely.
Yeah.
Question mark? That's a new
Yeah,
one.
that means he's gone out of Skype completely.
Lightning struck him directly.
His phone probably died because it's a piece of junk.
Yeah, he did say that his phone wasn't charged before the show. So
Which means that he probably wasn't charging it while we were he was on
Yeah.
his computer, which he should have.
one of the other things that that I always seem to have a shortage of are power supplies, and it's because in the past, when I buy
Well, that's understandable.
cheap laptops or busted laptops or whatever, no one ever sells them with the power supply. So I end up having, this, huge range of laptops, but only like one power supply that I have to share between them all.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
no
look,
problem
Steve's
with
alive.
Now, if you do need a SCSI Terminator, you can always go buy a $300 one from our favorite person.
I'd rather
Ray,
build
And who might that be?
sticks. Mr. Polka Dot.
He controls the market, don't you know that?
He controls
That's
the
what they were.
He controls the market in his
I hope
own
somebody
mind.
takes
That's
him
it.
out someday.
Yeah.
So here is my recommendation to anyone new to the vintage collecting: don't pay $300 for an FX SCSI Terminator.
And $25 shipping, mind you.
Yeah.
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 I'll
Better
go
yet,
on the
don't
record
buy
and
from
say
Jonathan Goldman.
if you're new to any of this, exactly, don't buy anything from Goldman.
Yeah.
If you see
Yeah.
polka dots, run.
Yeah. It did
Yeah.
make me think though, if I find any spare SCSI Terminators sitting around, I'm going to spray paint them black.
And put an Apple logo on it.
Yeah, totally.
I've never had that machine. What is the significance of that? Is it just wired differently?
The
Yeah, it's
2FX has got that super fast SCSI bus that's
Yeah.
a real pain in the ass to work with and
Ah,
a general nightmare to even look at sideways. I mean, if you think SCSI in general sucks to try to configure properly, try configuring it on a 2FX without
I'm glad I don't have one.
the proper terminate. You have to terminate the computer. There's nothing installed on it for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Fun.
just a pain in the butt.
So yeah, if you're getting a
two or three of
2FX,
those
you need
Electron.
special RAM and special terminator.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm always running out of, besides the DB15 adapters, besides the PRAM batteries,
Brain cells.
well, that too. They come and go, but
Okay.
SD cards, the micro SD cards for either the Blue SCSI or whatever Raspberry Pi or whatever I don't have enough of them. I'm always like putting something on there, and then I can't erase it, or I have to copy to something else, and I lose them. I mean, they're so tiny, you can lose them anyway. And extension cords, whether it be a power cable or an ADB cable or USB or serial, or even ATX or something like that, those are invaluable. I mean, Bruce and I have been using the ATX extension cables for the Classic and the SE. It just makes them much easier to diagnose and troubleshoot. But you have one, and then you always need more.
Why I buy 2 of everything.
Yeah, 3 of everything. So when you lose one, you have 2 others.
Yeah.
Well,
That's just 2 more to lose.
Mike knows me
Yes.
well.
Well, in your case, you lose SD cards. I can almost guarantee you every one of them is on the floor under your desk somewhere.
No,
You'll never see ever again until you move.
Ah,
got the little thing.
But I have that same problem. It's like the last time Steve was here.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was looking for the SD card for my floppy emu, and I couldn't find the damn thing anywhere. And he even looked in the desk drawer where I thought they were, and nothing. 3 days later, I look in the desk. Right there they are. They're just plain as day.
This little tiny thing that hides in the
Just
shadow.
sitting right there, just saying, "Hey, use me." Oh my God, that's
Oh, and Ethernet cables. My goodness. And AAUI transceivers. And HDI 45 adapters. And oh,
just say everything, Steve.
everything.
yeah. Don't ask.
Frederick
me to
says,
find-
please
don't
expand
ask
on
me to
Goldman
find
for
a,
us noobs, please.
Oh, should we?
Don't ask me to
We
find
could.
a PS2 to AT keyboard adapter.
Yeah, I found one eventually.
He found it about 6 weeks later.
Well,
So-
being that we live where we live, and this is 2021, and the world has just lost its freaking marbles, we're not going to expand on Goldman. Just do your research; you'll find out soon enough.
So to put it politely, he's an individual who decides that he wants to price vintage Macintosh items at ridiculously silly prices
Ridiculously.
because he wants to. And a lot of people go around saying this guy's off his rocker, and that's about it.
He's actually
And the
been
defense
on
is
our What
himself.
Were They Smoking quite a few times on the Mac Yak show.
Yeah.
So
Listen, if
Okay,
he
so-
wants $600 for a 1.4 megabyte floppy because Steve Jobs farted on it, that's fine. But he actually thinks that he, in his words, controls the market and doesn't give a crap about community and just gives a crap about
Right. He thinks that
squeezing you
he's some
for as
kind
much
of-
money as he can.
It's
Right.
funny
He thinks
coming
he's
from a
some kind
seller.
of elite.
Yeah. I mean, if you're selling a product and you're basically letting your customers know you control the market, you're essentially saying, oh, by the way, I'm going to be gouging you for anything that you buy
Yeah.
from me. So it's actually, it's kind of a weird tactic for a seller to say something like that, in my opinion. But the two main frustrations with what he does are that when he puts things on eBay for an obscene price, and they don't sell for that price, just the fact that he's got them up there for that price doesn't mean that's what they're worth. But that's the problem. There are people that are potentially new to the hobby, and they look at it and they go, oh wow, so that's what this is worth. And it's like, no, what Goldman is asking is not what it's worth, and it's oftentimes not what he sells for either. He always has make offer, and he regularly sells things for less than half of what he's asking, but he puts it up that high.
well,
to
even
try
the
and
half price
make
is still
that offer
ridiculously
high.
priced.
Yeah.
Oh, of course,
that's right. Yeah.
and that's what makes it so. I'll stop.
Yeah, Madeline.
The other thing is, of course, that
Oh.
he has been known to sell stuff at inflated prices that's not working properly. Hasn't been restored, hasn't been recapped. I mean, he sold a color classic with sound problems. I mean, so when the person paid a ridiculously high amount for a color classic, got it home, plugged it in, and the sound shot on the thing, and it had to be repaired. Actually, the buyer had to then spend extra money to have it fixed. So the idea of someone inflating the price on something that doesn't even work properly, I mean, it's pretty disgraceful.
Yeah, it's polka dots though.
The problem that I have with him, and I've spent way too much time on this show talking about this guy, and I try not to do it all the time because I feel like it's kind of reinforcing his brand. But the problem that I have is new people coming to the hobby. If somebody posts, I've got this so and so, and what's it worth, he'll jump on them and offer them $2.50 for it, regardless of what it is. And then he will turn around and list that on eBay for $1,000. The next thing that he does is he lurks in groups and he looks for newbies coming to the hobby, and they'll say, I've got a so-and-so, how do I make it work? Or I'm looking for a keyboard for, a Lisa or whatever. And then he personal messages them and sells them something at a ridiculously inflated price, which,
well, it comes with a keychain.
But I feel bad for people that get ripped off by this guy. And it's, I don't get me wrong, I like to get good money for things that I own, and I think with something that I'm selling, you can be guaranteed that it works. It's been repaired by somebody who knows what they're doing, i.e. Bruce Rain. And I'm not selling people something that is going to turn up to their place and not work. And I just can't stand that taking advantage of people, I think, is what I see in this guy. It's just not on.
That is what really gets to me. You could ask whatever price you want for things, and nobody buys it. You're really not doing much more harm than poisoning a lot of people's minds of thinking that this stuff is worth something that it's not. But taking advantage of somebody who just wants to try and get into the hobby, get something to work, that is despicable. And we all like helping out each other. I've been known to give things away at a good price or in trade or for free just to help somebody out, and we've all done that before. And part of my effort to try and combat this is trying to have a sane index for these prices. And it's not going to be, the perfect, but as a community, I think we could build this together. And so I shared a link in the chat. It's a price guide that I'm working on. Very early days. I only really did some of the 68K ones here. But it's based on what I've paid for things. It's based on what people have in this chat or in the group or on Discord have told me they paid for things. And just generally understanding, what these things go for, what's asking too much, and the things to look out for. Because if you see a Mac Classic that's untested for $500, that may be a good deal in Australia. But in here, that's ridiculous. You're not going to pay for that. You're going to probably have to shell out $100 or $200 to get that thing working, if it could even work again. So I think that's...
For $500 here, you're going to expect it working.
It better.
I hope so.
Jay, one thing about eBay is that even though it says it's sold for $500, doesn't mean it's worth $500. That just means some idiot with a stimulus check paid $500 for it. That's not what it's worth. So Steve's guide... he's going to price everything fairly. Unless it's something he owns, then he's going to double it in case he has to sell it later on.
So that's half
but it's a good work in progress. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think the guide also helps distinguish, look, a Mac Plus isn't worth that much unless you got the keyboard and the mouse,
And we got some big plans for this guide too, don't we, Steve?
Yes, we do. We're trying to figure it out. We have this young kid who's some kind of coding whiz that lives near you, Bruce. So we're going to try and see if he can figure out some things.
Now,
So
one of the things I wanted to say there about
What'd you say, Mike?
this guy we've been talking about is he's been banned from a lot of the groups because of the practices that he does. So
you're welcome.
Yeah,
I'll take full credit for that.
But
I take full credit for that as well.
Yeah, so he has been banned from a lot of these groups. So you won't see him in a lot of those. But eBay and remember I don't know if we coined the term, but the eBay effect is what Jay was talking about. If somebody sells something, it's not going to be worth that much. It's just the eBay effect makes people think it is, So just because it sells for that much doesn't mean you're going to get that much.
I mean, I've bought things for stupid prices on eBay before simply because I wanted them in a hurry, and I've paid stupid eBay prices for them. But, if someone then asked me, hey, what should I expect to pay for something like that? I'm not going to necessarily tell them what I paid, because I just paid it for, because I needed something in a hurry or something like that. Ended up paying a stupid amount for it. It happens. eBay has that advantage of it's a very big market there. You can often get hold of things quite quickly. It's not really a proper price guide. Get onto the groups, get onto the forums, get to know the other people in the community. That's the best way to go.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get to what were they smoking, since we're talking about these ridiculous price stuff. We have this. If you're new to the show here, we have this segment called "What Were They Smoking," and we're going to go through some of the stuff here. So the first one, if somebody wants to post a link to this, it's from Duke09 on Discord, and it looks like this is an Apple iBook G4 2005 14-inch boxed with the 60 gigabyte hard drive working well for $1,125. Yeah.
Wow, that's a steal.
I'll take 5.
Isn't that that's the plastic one, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure
Is this
yeah,
from
I'm
that
thinking
same seller that likes to, yes, it is. It's from the same exact seller who likes to take these beautiful clamshell iBooks and make them sins against nature and just destroy them.
So luckily, this one he couldn't do much too.
Is this the guy that cuts a hole in the palm rest so he can get to the hard drive? Or
he
something?
used to.
No.
Yes.
He used to. Most of the ones I've seen lately, he hasn't done that too.
Because they didn't have a little chip in there for him to work on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
these
$20
are the ones that end up smelling
max.
like armpits, aren't they?
Yeah, I had one that was I've had it since like 2003 or 2004, and it worked great and never smelled, and over the time it just got a life of its own. So you don't want to go near it now.
That's right.
I think if you clean those with one of those magic erasers, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but it's on the keyboard.
Well,
that's what starts to smell.
Yeah, it's
there's an easy fix. You take some lukewarm water with some dish soap, and you fill a little tub, and you submerge it for a few weeks. You should be all right.
Weeks.
Well, talking about storing things correctly, just put it down into the magma of the Earth's core, and it'll take care of the smell.
Recycling, baby.
Be scrubbed fresh and clean.
All right, so the next one I'm trying to get up here is one that I think Trina put out, and I'm trying to pull it
Trina.
up. Yeah. So did we talk about this last week or not? I don't remember if we
I don't
did or
think
not.
so.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
No, we didn't do any of them last week.
Anyways,
what we did last week was the $5,000 plus.
Yeah, let me go ahead and cut over to this one. Okay, so this is an Apple Macintosh Quadra 840 AV, powers on and chimes. So
yeah, so does mine. It doesn't work.
But look at the front of this thing; it's missing the whole front.
Well,
the whole case is gone.
Did you see what the really big mistake with this one was? It's not an 840 AV.
Yeah, I was about to look at the pictures of the back.
Yeah, the pictures aren't here, but the pictures of the back showed it was actually an 8100.
Oh yeah, well, that's one way to make an extra $1,000 of a computer.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So it had because the 8100's got that stupid monitor connector.
And it also has 2 AV ports on the back of it.
Yep.
Right. I quite like that photo. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something that I quite like about the image.
Steampunk.
I've been getting used to that that look because that's what's sitting on my desk downstairs. Because whenever I put the darn case on the Quadra, I have to open it up again, and the plastic is so brittle. I'm just like, you know what? No one else is looking at this. I'll just leave it as is. The SCSI USB adapter's just dangling by a SCSI cable. Everything looks janky, but I don't care.
I like the one drive that's just kind of sitting haphazard in the middle.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, this ad didn't stay up for long, and I think he ended up getting so many messages saying to them, "This is not an 840 AV. You're not selling the right thing." I think they ended up taking it down because I tried to find this one very soon after these things were posted. It was gone.
Yeah, I tried to find it as well.
Now, did this have a make offer or was just a buy it now?
No, it was auction or buy it now. So. And it was the auction starting price of $1,000, and a very reasonable buy it now price of $1,300.
Yeah.
Oh, very reasonable price.
Very reasonable.
Why even bother bidding? Just go and buy it. I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's not worth the trouble. A $300 difference. Come on.
And don't screw the guy out of a few dollars. Come on.
Yeah, no lowballing, man.
I know what I
have. I know what I have.
Yeah.
I control the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, by selling things that don't work.
So the last one we have for tonight for What Were They Smoking is this iMac plus keyboard plus mouse, which looks like, what is this, a G5 or is this the first Core 2 Duo? I don't even know.
Don't know either.
If that's the keyboard that came with it.
No eyesight, so that's probably a G5 then, right?
Yeah, if it doesn't have an eyesight, it's definitely a G5.
Yeah. All right, so $500.
Unless it's Mike's prototype, no.
Yeah.
I was about to say not even if it's Mike's prototype, it's $500.
So, for those that aren't aware of the issues with those G5s, they were made during the capacitor plague, which means that virtually every electrolytic capacitor in them is probably bulging or leaking or exploded, need to be replaced. There's probably 30 or 40 odd capacitors that need to be replaced on that to make it work. So yeah, 500 is an absolute bargain.
Sounds like it. I'm tempted to.
I have 2 in the boot of my car if anyone wants one.
Yeah, come drop them off.
So,
just ship them.
What were these guys smoking?
If anyone wants one.
That's the question.
Is that where you've been keeping it, Bruce?
The first guy, I think we already established that he's just smoking straight old dubs.
Yeah.
He's from Weed Sport. Is that the good town?
Well, no, that was last week's.
plus.
That was last week's Weed Sport.
But that's the popular town these days for these sellers.
But the supposed Quadra, they're probably smoking what's left of the case wherever it is.
Yeah.
Some good plastic, man.
And the iMac G5, I would say the iMac G5, they're smoking some of those caps.
Yeah.
Or the cap juice, yeah.
I think the iMac G5 guy's smoking crack for sure. 100%.
So Patrick says reefer caps.
It's unfortunate that a lot of these machines, it's a little hard to identify them without knowing where to look. You know, Apple doesn't put the label or sticker right on it, so you have to look under the foot, and that's probably scraped away. And
I'm kind of curious as to whether they actually labeled it as a G5 in the description. Because all we got was this screenshot, but I wonder if...
I've got a sneaky suspicion that person has no idea what they have. So I don't
probably.
think...
I'm surprised
Bruce,
he didn't put it
know
up
what
as a
they
monitor.
Yes.
I got a Blueberry iMac because somebody thought it was a monitor. I got it for $10.
I've seen that too. They say, "Oh, we got all these Mac monitors and they're iMacs."
I'll take them all.
All right, guys. So I think we're getting close to the end of the show tonight. So anybody got any shameless self-promotions they want to talk about?
We're going to do Steve's Archive
had some.
Adventures.
Yeah, I'm going to switch my camera to the good one. So you talk for a second. I'll be right back.
Tell me what
Blah
to
blah
do.
blah 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 blah.
Yeah, rebound.
And we've digressed.
Blah 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 blah. Hurry up, Steve! For crying out loud.
Buy a blue SCSI.
Shameless self-promotion by Bruce
Yeah, that is
Rain.
truly shameless.
Actually, Bruce, you've designed a new little jig for that thing.
Did little jig?
Yeah, I saw that. Explain how that works.
So,
That's quiet.
So basically, what you do is you just put all the components onto the board, and then you get this little thing that I made in 3D. This thing here, it's hard to show. But this little thing in 3D, and you plonk that over the top, and it holds all the components in position so that then you can just solder. They're all at the right height, so you can then just solder every single pin in one go, and then just lift it out, and you've got an almost finished Blue Scuzzy. So
that's fancy.
Wow.
I need one.
So
I need one too.
Yeah, I mean, I make a lot of them, so it's not necessarily going to be
until the Blue Scuzzy dudes change the configuration
Take
just a
my
little
money.
bit, right?
So there are some changes on the way with the Blue Scuzzy, just so in case anyone wants to know. A few things I just want to mention here. Actually, sorry, Steve. I will just very quickly just do this Blue Scuzzy thing, because I know there are some people in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Blue Scuzzy, one of the limitations, of course, is that it really only works with the slower, older Macs. It doesn't work particularly well with the Power PCs. Even if you plug it in and it works, it doesn't necessarily. It's the little blue pill chip doesn't really have the grunt to keep up with the speed of the instructions. So this is why they're generally recommending not to use them as a boot disk if you're using them on a Power PC Mac. And that's a limitation of the hardware. So, but they are making updates. They are looking at building these that work on faster chips. So there are changes coming. And the other thing is Steve got a little bit caught up with this when he was building his of these little resistor packs that go along here. And there are two different types, and they go with two different orientations. They're looking to redesign this board to make it so those little resistors are a little bit easier to put on the right way. It's not quite as confusing with them one being that way and one being that way. So
that was truly a Mac 84 mistake and not part of their instructional mistakes.
And I believe there is also a little jumper for attaching an external LED coming soon too. So, but anyhow, I mean, these are all things that are in the pipeline. It is something which is always being updated and improved. But beautiful thing about it is that they're so inexpensive. You just, grab them now. Buy another one in the future.
Yeah, especially if you're going to plug it into like a Mac Plus or a Mac SE or a Classic or something like that. The improvements that they're making are not going to affect that machine. So.
No, that's right. We're now talking about refinements at the end of the day. We're not talking about sort of massive whiz bang changes.
And it does your laundry.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for stalling for time, Bruce. I appreciate it.
No worries. It's still a bit long.
So I've been very busy archiving stuff, so I just wanted to share some things. I'm going to put a link in the chat here. And so I got a bunch of CDs. And one of them is this HyperCard sales tool and demo CDs. That's the one I just linked to. So it's already on archive.org there. And this is basically has a version of HyperCard 2.3 on it. And it's a sales tool CD. I don't know what else to say about it. But the real cool things that I was looking forward to doing, and I have not archived these yet, so these are in progress.
Oh,
but these are all of. That's why they're in the box. I could bring them downstairs and I'm going to do a live stream of just ripping them. And so these are from all different years. This is an Apple 1993 presentation disc, so has all these old presentations and whatnot on them. But what's cool about these is they have a lot of artwork on them. They have a lot of press releases and stuff that just Apple doesn't have anymore. And there's a whole box full of them. So I have a bunch of things to start going through. And these are not archived anywhere. It's not like they were archived and I bought them because I'm silly. No, I spent my Patreon fundage on these things because it's so pretty. So yeah, there's a lot of.
So you're streaming right after Mac Yak?
No. I'll be scheduling something, but a lot of cool stuff there. I'll be excited to share them as soon as they're archived.
So, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
With that HyperCard demo, does it have like a bunch of cool, examples of what you can do with HyperCard?
Probably.
That's why it's called a demo.
I ripped it. I ripped it on an OS 10 machine, and I didn't have Classic installed on that. I didn't have Classic on that Leopard machine, so I didn't actually open it up. Oh wait, maybe I did. Hold on. There's 2 screenshots on here. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I can see it. I was just wondering if you tried any. That's all, but you didn't try any.
No.
So yeah,
I just archived them. I'm not smart enough to play around with them.
I mean, I'm a little bit of a HyperCard fanboy. I think it's it's a fantastic little app. So I mean, I was just curious about whether you'd run some of those examples.
No, but I will send you a link to another thing that I archived on Macintosh Garden, and it is this Macworld HyperCard disk, and it's just like some floppy disk that I think Macworld gave out, and it's just like full of like HyperCard examples and weird stuff. So
sure.
I think that's fun.
And for anyone who doesn't know, the game Myst was made with HyperCard.
It was.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
why it was
Chris,
impossible to
for
figure
just
out.
announcing exactly what I was about to say. If you want a good HyperCard example, then go and play Myst. But I have run some of those HyperCard examples, and they're nothing like Myst. Got to tell you.
Yeah, it's funny when you reach that. And it's like, oh, I don't know what to do in this game.
Oh, come on. There are lots of tips.
Yeah.
Missed.
I think I got
Here
to
it
the
is.
end of that.
Mac user hyperdisk. Put that in the chat.
All right, guys. Got anybody else got anything that they want to shamelessly self-promote?
Steve streaming.
I might
next.
make a video soon.
What?
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 I don't
said
even
that
know what
2
to
weeks
say
ago.
about that.
Yeah. That's the same thing he's been saying about cleaning that office, but that never happens.
I clean my office all the damn time, and you know it.
That video is going to be about a hamster.
No. I have to clean my Mac Pro, and I figured I might as well do that process, start to finish, and address a few common things where people make hundreds of dollars in damage to their machine.
Like the last one we just
do that
saw.
next. Yeah.
There was a post in a Mac Pro upgrade where the guy, my Mac Pro's not working. Everybody could see right there. He's got some bent pins, on his CPU slot. So.
Oops.
Yeah.
Speaking of bent pins, I'm releasing a video tomorrow that involves bent pins. I think you should all watch it.
I saw the Patreon ad. I haven't looked at it yet, but
there's some bent pins. That's all I'm going to say.
I shall have to watch it then. I have my Patreon, so I'll have to watch
I
it.
shall watch it.
All right.
And that's all I got. I will be cleaning my office.
Okay.
As well.
So, before we head out tonight, guys, I want to make sure everybody knows that we do have a Discord channel. The Discord link is up there now. Make sure you do join it. We have a lot of fun. A lot of people, a lot of different channels we have on there talk about a lot of different topics. So, it is a very active server. I think it's actually gotten more use than I ever thought it would be.
Bruce is the most active member.
Huh?
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
So
with Mike as a close second.
Yeah. I do go in there a little bit especially in the buy and sell, because there is a thing in there where it says don't talk, use it as a chat room. I put a 30-minute timeout, and people still use it as a chat room. So,
GT, you're such a tyrant. Why?
Yes, I am.
Why? Why can't you just let people have fun?
Because it's supposed to be buy and sell. I want to go and scroll and see stuff for buy and sell. I don't want to go like 20 pages and.
So as long as you offer GT a discount, sizable discount before you post it there, he'll leave you alone. That's all.
Yeah. All right, but anyways, guys, just go in there and have fun with the server. I mean, we have a lot of folks in there.
But not that much fun.
No, you can have fun.
Yeah.
We just ask
Not
that you
the buy and sell channel.
do keep it clean. Don't get into a pissing contest with somebody, because then we'll have to time you out, and we don't like doing that a lot.
And piss causes corrosion, which is bad.
Yeah.
In other words, you can have fun on the Discord server, but we control the fun.
Yeah.
Fun will be controlled.
Yes.
Dave is here.
We define fun.
Yep. Also, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and also make sure you hit that like button.
Smash it.
Smash it. I see 18 likes with 30 viewers right now. So, guys, you got to hit that like button. Now it's up to
and one
31
thumbs down from
concurrent
Dave's
viewers.
Vintage Apple Tech.
So
I just know it was him.
let's hit that like button, guys. Also, share it if you share this video too. I mean, or this stream. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell icon because we only do this once a week, so you're only going to get one notification a week. There's some weeks we actually do take off, depending on what it is. But we should be here next week talking about WWDC. I think that's probably going to be our only topic next week, so it should be pretty easy for us next week.
There's going to be lots of ranting or applauding.
Yeah.
I don't see much applauding.
I agree with you on that. So, all right, guys, if we don't have anything else, we're going to call it a night here, and we will see you guys next week. So,
Adios.
bye.
Bye.